This issue begins with Loki, Miss America, Hulkling, and Wiccan captured by the extra-dimensional creature masquerading and powering the group's parents. Lucky for them, Kate Bishop and Novar finally show up. Marvel Boy is able to deftly dispatch the squishy goons and free the group from the predicament. But as they attempt to make a getaway, Marvel Boy's parents appear. With the infected parents hot in their tail, they flee the scene in search of a clear location where bystanders will not be hurt. Landing in Central Park, the group has no time to regroup when Wiccan is momentarily captured. While Miss America goes to rescue him, Loki uses the time to plant a seed of doubt within Hulkling's mind regarding Wiccan and his relationship. And once Wiccan is brought back by Miss America, Loki once again pursues a plan where Wiccan loans Loki reality-bending powers. Pressed for time due to the oncoming horde of the infected, Wiccan relents and passes his power to Loki, who does the very Loki thing of promptly leaving his supposed allies high and dry. With no Loki, a depowered Wiccan, and no escape, the situation looks bleak for the Young Avengers.
So Loki basically bailed on them, and I really like the fact that they weren't all that surprised that he did. They're like, well, we knew he was going to do that, so why are we surprised that he bailed?
It was like they had this hope that he wouldn't, like a small chance that he wouldn't, but he did, and like, oh, there goes that chance.
Yeah, they're all like, oh, shucks.
Though, obviously, I think that Loki's going to come back and save the day.
This issue sort of implies that he will come and save the day. He seems to sort of start to hatch a plan when Kate brings up that fact that her mother isn't there.
He jokes how at least your mom wouldn't eat you, and then he realizes Luffy isn't...
I don't know exactly what we're supposed to take away from that.
What it could mean is that the creature that is making these entities or parents appear is doing it based off of some sort of knowledge base. And maybe they just don't have the knowledge of Kate's parents, and maybe there's some discrepancy between, the true Luffy and
the Luffy that's being created. Trust was another big theme in this issue. Loki seemed to be sowing seeds of distrust, actually, especially between Wiccan and Hulkling. He basically said, to Hulkling, isn't it coincidence that you're in love with Wiccan? Maybe he's using some magical spell to make it so.
Yeah, powers of reality. How can you trust them? It's the issue of how can you ever trust Wanda, right? And I guess it runs in the family. Though it's classic Loki, just sowing distrust. That's what I like about him, where he just sort of plays these games. I think this small amount of distrust in the future is going to allow him to gain some benefit, like it always does. And I think it's going to be interesting when all of these young members become an actual team, who's going to be the one to really step up as the leader?
The only one I'm certain it won't be is Loki, just because that's just not his role. But who do you think might be leader?
Though I'd want to see Loki, it's true that no one's going to trust him. I think Miss America is going to be the one that's going to step up the most.
I think it's got to be Kate Bishop. She led the Young Avengers before.
Mm-hmm.
Miss America's from another dimension. Can't trust them.
Can't trust an alien too, right?
Nope. So that eliminates Marvel Boy and Hulkling. So you're left with Wiccan, who has reality-bending powers, so you can't trust that. By default, it falls to Kate Bishop.
Another Hawkeye. One thing I like about this series is that it really has some cool modern touches to it. Like, it seems that the graphic design, or I guess the layout for the pages, is sort of, is definitely new.
The fight scene with Novar was just so cool, how there was, a graphic to go along with it, and, smaller frames that corresponded to each point in the fight.
It allowed them to do an entire fight with so many different things so quickly. And it made it interesting, because oftentimes you just have pages of this fight scene, and it's just sort of like grunting at each other, or yelling, or maybe some off comment. But you got to see an entire fight scene in a single page, and I thought that was very well done.
And the legend shows kind of the thoughts that are going through Novar's mind as he goes through this fight. Like, when he smashes in a Skrull's face, he's like, oh, that's going to ruin my shoes. And then he also says, oh, I hope Kate saw that, because that was so cool. It was just very well done.
Yeah.
He also throws in some other, kind of unique touches. The recap page at the beginning of the issue mimics Tumblr.
That's a nice touch. They even have tongue-in-cheek moments where they indicate that this is for younger audiences. I think it's Miss America at one point even indicates that this is PG-13, and I found that pretty hilarious.
Finally, the last way that Gillen kind of poked fun at, I guess adults is when he has that one-page scene of Thor and Captain America sitting in Avengers Mansion. They're like, anything going on? And there's like, spaceships blowing up outside. Or it's like, nope.
I think it's really cool how this series has tried to make a really big conflict that is directed straight at these kids. Oftentimes, you have a big conflict, you really got to call in the big guns, and they haven't really had much of a guest appearance from anyone. Though they did have the Avengers show up once, they really were marginalized right away. And I think it's really important for a new series focused on kids, or I guess the new guard, that they handle a big conflict by themselves.
So it's a grade for Young Avengers number 4. What would you give it?
I'd give this issue a 3.5 out of 5. I really like the page layouts and the art, and Gillen does a good job with the voice behind all the characters. But the villain to me is just not that interesting. It doesn't draw me in as maybe a big name villain would.
I'm going to give this issue a 3.5 as well. I got to disagree with you on the villain, though. I really like kind of the first adversary they go against is Wiccan's reality-bending powers itself, because reality bending is always just fun.
Thanks for watching B3 Comics' review of Young Avengers issue number 4. Before we go, we have a question for you.
In this review, we speculated a little bit about who should be the leader of the Young Avengers. Who do you think it should be?
Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and if you like what you see, give us a thumbs up.